As we know, the industry is challenging nowadays, and our companies are trying to grow in a very competitive landscape, and we need to ensure that our company are going to have long-term success regarding people. So we have to be very clear about how we define our strategic plan, putting people, as we were talking before, at the heart of our organizations. As HR people, we are as like a mediator between people's need and the organizational needs, and it's not easy, I can say. So, thanks, Nikki. Who are involved? Who we need to work with? We have to have allies in the company. So, if we collaborate with the organizational leaders, we have a lot of you here, we can create a solid HR plan. This is crucial because we work together, and the impact of our plan in the organization and the teams are going to make the real difference. We are like, sometimes operations teams can perceive that we are interfering in the processes and in the operational schedule that they have. But we need to communicate to them exactly what are we going to do, how are we going to do, when are we going to need their people ready for the initiatives, so they can understand and support our plan. If we have the details of our plan very well done and communicated, of course, the leaders, not only the middle management, the board as well, are going to be there to support the plan and to help us to implement the plan in the right direction. So communication is essential. Then we are going to talk more about that. And of course, we need to negotiate. We have to be expert negotiators. We have to convince all the stakeholders of the company, not only the leaders, as well at the same time the people, about the importance of taking care about the HR plan, the HR strategy, the HR vision, because they have to support the plan, participate, but actively participate of the initiative, not only be there to attend, if not being involved in the result of the initiative that we are going to propose. So we are partners in that way, trying to do our best to help our companies grow in this industry in very complex times, I could say nowadays. So why it is important for the organization? Okay, you can see here the main ideas, but because, as we said, the leadership and the board need this plan to achieve their goals. We have like crossover goals that we need to achieve together, and you need people ready to do the operational goals that you need, or commercial goals that you have nowadays in your companies. So we have to work in reduce the friction between our plan and the operational or commercial plan. We have to work it together. They need to understand that, as we said. So it's important that the leadership team is be involved in our plan. Then, as we said before, we have to communicate clear to the internal customers the whole picture about the plan. If we can share the whole plan, then we are going to talk about the elements that the plan should contain. But if the more detail we could share with them, the more support we're going to have from our teams to achieve them. So we have to share a clear picture about our plan with the whole company. Then, of course, the organization needs to know which resources are we going to need. So they have to be allocated properly to remove obstacles. A lot of things can happen during the year. Maybe we can to reallocate things. So it's important to be clear about that from the very beginning. And when I talk about resources, I talk about budgets, tools, and of course, people who are going to be involved in which special or in each particular initiative. So if we have clear goals, and we communicate them well, we are going to have the capability to track them. Of course, for that, we are going to talk about that at the end of this session. We need metrics, we need KPIs. We need to define this from the very beginning. What are we going to do? Who are going to participate? And how are we going to track these actions during the year or in the following year? Because we should plan like a nature strategic plan from now to 3 years, right? It would be like the ideal scenario. And why it's important for HR? We know why it's important for the organization. They need this plan to achieve their goals. But why it's important for HR? The next slide, Nikki. We are seeing it. Because we have to have clear our priorities. If we have clear our priorities, we became unstoppable. We are going to be like a very solid team, adding value to the organization and supporting them in their operational challenges, because that's our mission. We are like a service area, right? They are our internal customers. So if we have our plan clear and how it is aligned with the business goals, we will understand our value inside the company, and we're going to be motivated. We're going to be excited about the initiative that we are going to share with the company. We will feel that we are really making the difference to become our company in a great place to work. Sorry about the brand. It's not about the brand, great place to work. It's about the feeling. So for that, we have to be very clear. We have to, regarding the last point, we have to create accountability. We need to be clear about the responsibilities, who are going to be in charge of each initiative, which resources this person will need, and of course, put focus in priorities, because sometimes, and it's not real at that moment, things happen and we need to change. So this plan has to be flexible and dynamic. Sorry, Nikki, I am changing the slides and I don't know if in the same page than me. So we have to be clear to keep our focus, motivation, and engagement, but at the same time, we have to be open-minded and have a flexible and dynamic strategic plan so we can move fast according to the operation needs. What we need to include in this plan? Here you have like a short list, but it's just a model, but they are like the essential elements that I recommend, or Nikki and I recommend for the plan. First of all, we have to have clear our mission and our statements. Of course, the mission of HR is aligned with the company mission and values. So we have to be very clear about that. The values and mission don't change in general, but if you are growing and you need to review these things, maybe sometimes you have to stop the ball and think about them again. So you're sure that you are moving in the right direction, because all the initiatives and objectives that you plan after that has to be aligned with these values. It has to be coherence, right? So then we have to define the objectives and key results. Again, we need to measure our impact in the organization and our impact in the, when I say our, is HR initiatives, not the impact of the HR initiatives in the business. It's not easy. Sometimes you can do it so like linear, because we are talking about people. And of course, you can isolate the variables so easily sometimes, but you can see the impact in performance, in the agile capability of your team. And of course, if you do specific actions regarding training, you can see the impact directly in the daily operation. Then of course, detail specific initiatives that you are going to plan according to that objectives. Put it like in concrete actions that you are going to do. And after that, make an assessment of your human resources team to understand if you have the capabilities that you need at this moment to go for these goals. Maybe you say, yes, I have the right team. That's great. Maybe you need to upskill your current staff skills. Maybe you need to hire new people for your team. Or maybe, as Jasmine told before, you need to contract external support, consulting, or a team that can help you to define at least the first strategy. Then you can continue that with your internal team. And you don't need to forget, of course, about the resources, what I said before, that to consider the resources, the time, the people, the tools, the money that you are going to need for these actions. But the most important thing, and it's not minor, you can see it at last, but it's not like the minor thing, is to consider the risk. You have to consider that the industry is moving very fast, and maybe you need to change a lot of things about your plan during, maybe not the first year, but maybe for the second year or the third year. So be prepared for that, for evaluate risk, for have action plans to mitigate this risk, and the priority exercise is going to help you a lot, because if you have at least certainty that you are going to achieve the main or the primary actions that you define, the more impactful actions for the company, that's great. Then if you need to change the other ones, that's okay, because it's dynamic. We have to be agile and dynamic as the industry demands nowadays. So we can be so like structured, right? So now we talk about the general things. The 7th step we recommend to develop a plan are this one that you can see here. Ah, no, before, Nikki, the slide before. We are not going to work yet.
There you go.
So it's like, this is like a resume of I was talking before. For example, first of all, we need to understand the organization's business goal. We know why, we talked about that before. We have to be aligned with them. If not, we are not going to have a real impact in the organization. Then assess our HR capabilities to identify the gaps that we need to work on in our team. Sometimes it happens a lot. I talk with my team a lot about that sometimes we are looking outside the HR team all the time, trying to improve everyone's capabilities or skills, and we don't dedicate the time to analyze ourselves and to invest in what we need to be ready for the challenge. So it's not minor, this aspect. If you have a team, of course, maybe if you don't have it, you have to build the whole team. Then conduct a workforce analysis, including the leaders, of course, because they are the ones that are going to tell us the needs of their teams. It's good to include their perspective in that analysis. Sometimes an employee satisfaction survey helps a lot to have the perception and the general voices of our people to think, because then we are going to see that if you design a good survey, you are going to have a lot of information and data to work on your HR plan. Sometimes I think like it's like this survey is my roadmap to change or to move some initiatives in my HR plan. Then define your plan and explain it very well. As we said before, we need the support. We need the support of the leaders. We need the support of the board. So if you don't explain in a good way why it's important for the organization and which value are we adding, they are not going to support, maybe with budget or with the availability of the teams, of the people that we need to be present in the initiatives. Then, of course, schedule an action plan, detail it so they can plan how it's going to impact in their daily operation, when the people is going to be out. If we can, we have to negotiate again. If we can take the people out of the operation at that moment in that specific month, because of course we have to adapt our plan with their needs and the client's needs, right? And develop a communication plan around the general HR strategy for the whole company. So everyone knows that you are working on this plan, the goals of this plan, and how are they going to be involved in the plan. So that's my philosophy, my philosophy, but I want to make it clear and simple. You can have dynamic tools, different tools, people management software if you have one, because it's practical, of course, but the more clearer and simple you do it, the better for the people.